Most people think losing everything happens all at once. A disaster. A scream. A single moment where life splits in two. But sometimes you lose everything quietly. One email. One conversation. One realization that the life you trusted was never really yours to keep. This is the story of a woman who lost her career, her love, her community, and discovered the one thing betrayal couldn't take. Welcome to Brinicle Reads. Tonight's story is called I Lost Everything, But Not Myself. Part 1, The Life She Thought Was Secure. At 36, Evelyn Carter believed she had finally outrun uncertainty. Not defeated it. Just outrun it. Her mornings followed a rhythm she trusted. The alarm rang at 6:15 a.m. She showered. Drank black coffee from a stainless steel mug. Then stood by the kitchen window of her downtown Chicago apartment, watching the city wake up. Traffic lights blinking from red to green. People walking with purpose. The quiet promise that everyone was going somewhere. It made her feel anchored. Evelyn didn't need luxury. She needed predictability. After years of instability, predictability felt like success. She didn't know that the most dangerous lies are the ones that feel like peace. Evelyn had built her life the long way. No shortcuts. No favors. No safety net. Raised by a single mother who worked double shifts and called exhaustion normal, Evelyn learned early that survival wasn't dramatic. It was disciplined. She studied while others slept. Worked while others rested. Stayed quiet while others complained. By her mid-30s, it paid off. She was a senior operations manager at a national consulting firm, one of those companies that talked endlessly about culture and loyalty, while quietly measuring your worth in numbers. Evelyn was good at her job. Not loud good. Not attention good. Reliable good. The kind of employee companies depend on, and replace without blinking. She liked who she'd become. Calm under pressure. Direct without cruelty. Independent without bitterness. She paid her bills on time. Checked in on her mother every Sunday. Volunteered when she could. She believed in effort. In loyalty. In showing up, even when no one was watching. And that belief shaped everything. Including the people she trusted. Daniel came into her life 5 years earlier, unexpectedly. They met the American way, through mutual friends, over drinks neither of them really wanted, bonding over shared sarcasm and mutual exhaustion. Daniel worked in marketing. Charming. Even-tempered. The kind of man who knew how to listen without interrupting. He called Evelyn steady. Said it like a compliment. You make things feel safe, he once told her. She thought that meant loved. Their life together wasn't loud, but it felt solid. Weekend grocery runs. Netflix arguments over what to watch. Long conversations about the future that never felt rushed. Evelyn didn't need fireworks. She wanted consistency. Her friends were an extension of that stability. Work friends. College friends. Couples friends. The kind of people who showed up for birthdays, promotions, and engagements. People who said things like, "We're so proud of you." And, "You deserve this." Evelyn believed them. Because why wouldn't she? The first sign that something was wrong didn't arrive as panic. It arrived as discomfort. A meeting she wasn't included in. A project update she heard about secondhand. A message that went unanswered longer than usual. Nothing dramatic. just enough to make her pause. She told herself she was imagining things. Strong women don't assume betrayal. They assume responsibility. So she worked harder. At her company, everything was polite. Concerns weren't accusations. They were feedback. Threats weren't warnings. They were alignment conversations. Evelyn had learned to read between the lines. And lately, the lines were shifting. Her manager stopped asking for her input. Decisions were summarized after they were already made. A junior colleague she had trained began speaking for her in meetings. Credit started moving sideways. Evelyn noticed. She didn't confront it. Because in corporate America, confronting things often marks you, not the problem. The email arrived on a Monday morning. Subject line: Performance alignment discussion. No explanation. Just a calendar invite. HR was included. Evelyn reread the email 3 times. Her heart didn't race. It sank. Because deep down, she already knew. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and recycled air. Her manager didn't smile. HR smiled too much. They spoke in practiced tones. There had been some concerns raised. Feedback from cross-functional partners. Questions about leadership approach. Every accusation was vague. Every example abstract. Evelyn asked for specifics. They deflected. She defended herself calmly. They nodded sympathetically. The decision had already been made. This wasn't a conversation. It was a notification. They didn't fire her. Not yet. They placed her on a performance improvement plan. 30 days to prove her worth. 30 days to fix problems no one could clearly define. Hope wrapped in humiliation. Evelyn walked out of the building that day feeling smaller than she had in years. Still employed. Already erased. She didn't tell Daniel right away. Didn't tell her friends. She told herself it would pass. She stayed late. Documented everything. Double-checked work that never used to need checking. At night, she lay awake replaying conversations. What did I miss? Who turned on me? Why now? The silence from others grew louder. Daniel noticed the change. You're distracted lately, he said one evening. She tried to explain the pressure. The fear. He listened, but his patience thinned quickly. You always assume the worst, he said. Maybe it's not that serious. She nodded. Because women are taught early not to sound dramatic. 2 weeks later, Evelyn borrowed Daniel's laptop to print something. A message notification popped up. A name she didn't recognize. The messages weren't explicit. They were worse. Emotionally intimate. Supportive. Light. The other woman made him feel understood. Made things easy. Evelyn stared at the screen, feeling something cold settle in her chest. Daniel didn't deny it. He rubbed his face, exhausted. I didn't plan for this to happen, he said. But things between us have been intense lately. Intense. As if her pain was a personality flaw. I needed something simpler, he added. Evelyn didn't cry. She just nodded. Because heartbreak sometimes arrives as clarity. She told her friends. Some offered sympathy, for a while. Others avoided taking sides. A few subtly defended Daniel. He didn't mean to hurt you. Relationships are complicated. Invitations slowed. Group chats went quiet. Pain made people uncomfortable. And discomfort makes people disappear. On day 27 of her improvement plan, HR called again. This time, there was no discussion. They thanked her for her contributions. Explained the severance package. Wished her luck. At-will employment. Legal. Clean. Final. Evelyn packed her desk into a cardboard box while coworkers avoided eye contact. Years of loyalty reduced to 15 minutes. Within 2 months, she lost her job. Her relationship. Her social circle. Her savings shrank. Her confidence shattered. The woman who once held everything together could barely get out of bed. One night, Evelyn sat on the floor of her apartment. Lights off. Phone face down. No music. Just the hum of the refrigerator and her own breathing. She whispered into the dark. I did everything right. Her voice cracked. So why did I lose everything? The room didn't answer. And for the first time in her life, Evelyn didn't know who she was without what she'd lost. Part 2, The Erasure. The morning after Evelyn's job ended, she woke up at 6:15 a.m. For a moment, everything felt normal. Then the memory hit. No meetings to attend. No emails waiting. No badge to scan. Just silence. Her routine, the thing she had relied on for years, was gone. And without it, she didn't know where to place herself in the world. Days blurred together. Without work, time stopped behaving properly. Mornings stretched too long. Evenings arrived too quickly. Evelyn found herself sitting on the couch for hours, phone in hand, scrolling without absorbing anything. Everyone else seemed busy living. She felt paused. As if the world had moved on and forgotten to take her with it. At first, she avoided telling people. When acquaintances asked, "So how's work?" she smiled automatically. "Busy," she said. The lie tasted bitter. Eventually, she stopped answering calls altogether. Because in America, losing your job isn't just financial. It feels personal. It feels like a judgment on your worth. Evelyn opened her laptop one afternoon and stared at her bank account. The numbers were still okay. For now. But rent was due every month. Health insurance didn't pause for grief. Savings didn't replenish themselves. She did the math. She hated herself for how fast she could calculate her own survival. Security had always been her armor. Now the armor was thinning. She updated her resume. Every bullet point felt like a plea. She applied to roles she was qualified for. Overqualified for. Desperate enough to consider. And then she waited. No responses. Automated rejections. Silence. Each unanswered application chipped away at her confidence. Had she imagined her competence all along? Her apartment, once a symbol of independence, began to feel like a cage. The walls pressed in. The silence echoed. She stopped cooking real meals. Lived on coffee and whatever was easiest. Some days, she didn't change out of pajamas. She wasn't depressed in a dramatic way. She was numb. Daniel didn't call. Didn't check in. Didn't apologize the way she'd secretly hoped he might. The relationship didn't end with a fight. It ended with quiet replacement. That hurt more. Because it suggested she was forgettable. She made the mistake of opening social media. Engagement photos. Office celebrations. Vacations she couldn't afford anymore. Everyone else seemed to be moving forward. She was standing still, watching through glass. She closed the apps and didn't open them again for weeks. Friends who promised, "Let me know if you need anything," never followed up. They didn't mean harm. They just didn't know how to sit with someone who had fallen. Pain without a solution makes people uncomfortable. And discomfort makes people disappear. Without work, Evelyn didn't know how to introduce herself, even in her own mind. Who was she now? She had always been the responsible one. The successful one. The dependable one. Now she was unemployed. Single. Invisible. She stared at herself in the bathroom mirror one night and barely recognized the woman looking back. Her thoughts grew sharper. Maybe you weren't that good. Maybe they saw something you didn't. Maybe you deserved it. The voice sounded like reason. But it was really grief wearing logic's mask. Her mother called one evening. Evelyn tried to sound fine. Her mother heard the lie immediately. "What happened?" she asked softly. Evelyn broke. Not dramatically. Just quietly. She told her everything. Her mother didn't offer advice. She said one thing. "You're allowed to fall. Just don't stay down." Evelyn cried after they hung up. Because no one had given her permission to fall before. One night, anxiety became unbearable. Bills. Rejection emails. Loneliness. It all pressed in at once. Evelyn sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the wall. Heart racing. For the first time, a thought crossed her mind that scared her. I can't do this anymore. She wasn't thinking about dying. She was thinking about disappearing. About not having to try anymore. The thought terrified her. And yet, it lingered. She stood up abruptly, as if escaping her own mind. Went into the kitchen. Drank water. Sat on the floor and breathed until the panic passed. She whispered aloud. Just get through tonight. And that became her rule. Not forever. Not even tomorrow. Just tonight. Weeks passed. Evelyn existed in survival mode. Wake. Apply. Wait. Sleep. She stopped expecting good news. Hope felt too expensive. She accepted the idea that this stripped-down version of life might be permanent. And that thought broke her in a new way. One afternoon, while cleaning her apartment, something to keep her hands busy, Evelyn found an old notebook. Inside were notes from years ago. Goals. Plans. Reminders to herself. One sentence stopped her cold. I don't want my life to be small just because I'm afraid. She stared at it for a long time. She didn't recognize the woman who had written it. But she missed her. That night, Evelyn asked herself a question she had been avoiding. If everything is gone, who am I without it? Not her job. Not her relationship. Not her reputation. Just her. The question scared her. But it also cracked something open. Evelyn closed the notebook and sat in the quiet. For the first time in months, she didn't feel panic. She felt something unfamiliar. Stillness. And buried beneath the exhaustion. A spark. Not hope. Not yet. Just the awareness that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the end of her story. Part 3, The Rebirth. The change didn't announce itself. There was no sudden surge of optimism. No magic moment where everything felt fixed. Evelyn Carter woke up one morning and noticed something subtle. She wasn't panicking. The familiar knot in her chest was still there, but it had loosened. For the first time since everything fell apart, she didn't reach for her phone immediately. She sat on the edge of her bed and breathed. That alone felt like progress. Evelyn stopped trying to fix her life. The goal felt too big. Too heavy. Instead, she gave herself smaller rules. Wake up at the same time every day. Go outside, even if only for 10 minutes. Eat at least one real meal. She wasn't rebuilding her future yet. She was rebuilding herself. And that mattered more than she realized. One afternoon, she opened her laptop and looked at her old resume. The words felt strange. Aggressive. Over-explained. Like she was trying to convince someone she mattered. She closed it. For the first time, she admitted the truth. That version of her had survived by being useful. This new version needed to be honest. She started over. Not rewriting achievements, but reframing them. What she'd learned. What she could do. What she wouldn't tolerate again. Evelyn stopped replying immediately to every message. Stopped over-explaining. Stopped apologizing for pauses. When acquaintances asked about work, she said calmly, "I'm between roles right now." And left it there. No shame. No justification. To her surprise, the world didn't collapse. She declined a job interview that felt wrong. The role paid well, but mirrored everything that had broken her. Old Evelyn would have taken it out of fear. This Evelyn listened to the tightness in her chest. She said no. That night, she slept better than she had in months. She began consulting freelance, quietly. Helping small companies streamline operations. Fix systems. Solve problems. Work reminded her of something important. She was still good at what she did. Betrayal hadn't erased her skills. It had only interrupted them. Daniel texted her one evening. "Hey. I've been thinking about you." Old Evelyn would have spiraled. Drafted responses. Questioned motives. This time, she read it once, and put her phone down. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. She didn't owe access to someone who had chosen convenience over commitment. Some friends never came back. Evelyn noticed, and accepted it. Loss teaches you something brutal and freeing. Not everyone deserves a place in your healed life. She stopped reopening doors that had quietly closed. Peace became more important than nostalgia. Months later, an opportunity came through a former colleague. A leadership role at a growing company. During the interview, Evelyn didn't perform. She spoke honestly. About systems. About people. About mistakes she'd learned from. When asked about her previous job, she didn't defend herself. She said, "It taught me the cost of staying quiet." The interviewer nodded. So did she. The offer arrived on a Wednesday afternoon. Better pay. Health insurance. Respect. Evelyn read it twice. Not to make sure it was real, but to check how she felt. She didn't feel desperate. She felt ready. She accepted. On her first day, Evelyn wore the calm confidence she once envied in others. She listened more than she spoke. Asked direct questions. Set expectations early. She didn't shrink. She didn't overextend. She didn't mistake politeness for loyalty. She led with boundaries. Weeks later, she saw Daniel at a coffee shop. He looked surprised. Then uncertain. then regretful. They exchanged small talk. Polite. Distant. When he asked if she was happy, she answered honestly. Yes. And meant it. As she walked away, she realized something quietly powerful. She no longer needed him to understand what he lost. One evening, sitting in her apartment, the same one that once felt like a cage, Evelyn reflected on the past year. She didn't feel bitterness. She felt gratitude. Not for the pain, but for what the pain revealed. Her strength. Her resilience. Her ability to survive without applause. Success no longer meant stability alone. It meant alignment. Peace. Choice. Self-respect. She had learned that losing everything forces you to decide. Will you rebuild the same life? Or a truer one? Evelyn chose truth. She once believed losing everything meant losing herself. She was wrong. It stripped away what wasn't real. What wasn't chosen. What wasn't mutual. What remained was quieter. Stronger. Unbreakable. If you're listening to this and feel like your life has collapsed, your career, your relationship, your sense of who you are, remember this. Losing everything doesn't mean you failed. It might mean you're finally free to rebuild honestly. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. She lost everything. But not herself. That's it. If you liked it, show me by liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Goodbye for now.